name is Chrissy Butler, and this is my project, The 12 Levels of Biological Organization, an e-learning system. Scientists study life at different levels, from the simplest parts of life, like atoms and cells, to the more complex levels of life, like ecosystems and biomes. This lesson covers all 12 levels of biological organization and helps the student to understand each level and the correct sequencing of the overall model. The target population for this study was high school students currently studying biology. It could also apply to anyone with a high school diploma who wants to refresh their knowledge of the subject. And prior knowledge for this course includes familiarity with biology, familiarity with your own body and the environment that you live in, and a general understanding of the progression of things going from simple to complex. So here are my learning objectives, starting with learning objective 1. Match the definitions for each level of biological organization with the correct term. Identify an image of each level term in the biological hierarchy. Give an example of each level in the hierarchy. Organize terms from least inclusive to most inclusive. And finally, to construct a flow diagram that shows the levels of biological organization going from least inclusive to most inclusive. So for my implementation, I used a platform called CoAssemble. This is a website that helps you build e-course materials. They have some intuitive tools that they use, but some of them were not as great as I would have hoped. I also used Google Draw, Google Forms, and Google Classroom. Over here on the left is a diagram that I created in Google Draw. So this is sort of the basis of my lesson plan, was starting at the top of the pyramid with the atom, going down from simple to complex, all the way to the biosphere. And this helps the student to sort of recognize the images, but also to keep it really simple and to show what things are added to get to the next level. Here I have some content from the actual site that I used from the e-learning system. So here we have exploring the 12 levels on the top here. These are content information cards. The learner can read through the cards, look at the image, vocabularies in bold, just so they know to remember those important terms. And then down here we have flip cards. This shows a question on the front and then flips it over and gives an answer and some more details on the back. These cards you could do multiple times, however many times you wanted to do that. And over here, I had an exercise for them to drag and order the terms from least inclusive to most, so they can just sort of grab those and drag them into place. For the last learning objective, I asked the learner to create a diagram of the model going from simple to complex, sort of like the pyramid diagram I came up with at the beginning. So here I use a Google Draw kind of form. This was sent through Google Classrooms. I did not have every participant do this. Some people were not able to access it if they didn't have Gmail. But essentially, the learner can pull in these little images. These images move, so you can kind of grab them and put them in the right boxes to sort of create each level in the organization. And then over here we have labels, and the students can drag them to the right spot and sort of create their own diagram, which I think is kind of fun. Some principles I focused on in this project. Multimedia principle, I use video, text, and image. I try to keep it very rich and engaging. The signaling principle, there's a lot of use of bold text to emphasize important content and terms, and arrows helping the users navigate difficult screens. The personalization principle, I used a lot of second person and personal reminders of key info. Also, ability for the learner to create their own. So with that diagram, kind of gives them a sense of personalization. And with the contiguity principle, text and images were placed close to each other, as close as possible. CoAssemble had some constraints with placing certain things, which was frustrating, but I think my system did a good job at navigating that. So here's the evaluation. My effect size was 0.84, and I had a p-value of 0.005. It just means that research that the research finding has some practical significance, and it's probable that the e-learning course has a positive effect on learning. Over here on the right, you can see the graph of the pre-tests and the post-test scores. So the average here was around 7, and the average around here was around 13. So you can see a significant, well, I wouldn't say significant, but you can definitely see an improvement of test scores and possibly an improvement of learning. Thank you so much. Here are my sources, and have a good day.